Alrighty, like I said before, earlier on, did part 1 of the weekly Q&A video, so make sure you check that out after watching this. This is part 2. Again, I really appreciate everybody going on Twitter. The Twitter handle's in the description box below and asking your questions. Try to do this every week. So let me go ahead and get started, guys. We've got plenty of good questions to get through for this one as well. Christian kicks us off by asking, Saxy Raxy or Trubisky? Ooh. 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 At least Sexy Rexy's time as a starter led to a Super Bowl appearance and multiple playoff appearances, even though you could argue 2005 was mostly due to Orton. I would agree with you. Sexy Rexy's reign of terror was 6 seasons in Chicago, and that's also what led to Jerry Angelo realizing, I can't evaluate the quarterback position in the draft, so I got to go give away a bunch of picks to go get Cutler's bum ass. So there were long-term impacts and ramifications there. Trubisky, just the fact that you have to watch Mahomes and Watson for years in the league, and you see what could have been and what wasn't. So I guess it's got to be Sexy Rexy. Bill Lever, do you believe in any conspiracy theories? Certainly. Not like that dumb QAnon stuff or that idiotic Pizzagate stuff and all this other dumb crap that you hear about. Like, that's just fringe whack job stuff. But for example, all these years later, like, I actually think I'm in the vast majority of people that refuse to believe that Lee Harvey Oswald acted completely and entirely on his own. Like, even when you look at the fact, didn't he get busted at a movie theater? I've just killed the President of the United States and allegedly killed a police officer as well. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna go to a movie theater. Really? I'm gonna sit down and watch a movie? Boy, if that doesn't feel like a burn from the CIA or something like that, I don't know what does. I mean, just, like, feels unlikely. Like, it's interesting when you talk about something like 9/11, because even if you believe the official story verbatim or the official narrative, that in and of itself is still a conspiracy theory. Because there are plenty of holes you could poke in the official story, that's for sure. Do I think that everything went down exactly the way they said? No, I actually, and I'm absolutely flabbergasted and surprised that so many people will sit there and come back with and say, you actually think that the U.S. government would do this to 3,000 plus of its own citizens? Oh, yeah. What effing rock have you been living under? Like, come on. So many of these are the same people that say they don't trust the government, they don't trust politicians, but now all of a sudden when it comes to that, just because you can't grasp how somebody would be able to sign off on that doesn't mean that it didn't happen or it couldn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, even the craziest theories may have a shred of truth to them. But there are plenty that I don't subscribe to or believe in, like reptilians and that type of dumb stuff. But there are certainly some that I think, it's crazy to totally and completely dismiss them. Ready Lizard 37. Who do you think has been the better coach so far and why? Matt Nagy or Matt LaFleur? Matt Nagy won 12 games his first year, won the division, and lost his opening round playoff game. Matt LaFleur won 13 games in his first year as head coach, won his first playoff game, and had his team one win away from the Super Bowl. It's Matt LaFleur. Period. Super Eagle 100 asks, re-rank the 2016 NFL Draft QB class. Well, I think it's easy that Dak's number 1. And then as far as 2 and 3, if you're thinking, I guess right now because of reliability, Goff's got to be 2 and Wentz has got to be 3. Like 4+ years in, that's what you're kind of looking at here. The Rain speaks great English. Does the BYU quarterback have enough talent and physical attributes to be drafted? I think, and you talk about Wilson, I think he does. Look forward to really starting to get more into these college prospects and starting to look at quarterbacks. But yeah, I think he does. Wheels _ 1987 asks, is Space Jam 2 a good idea in your opinion? No. The first one is the greatest movie ever made because it's a true story, a documentary about how one man selflessly put his entire career and livelihood on hold, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, to save the universe from the basketball playing aliens called the Monstars. I mean, they had everybody's powers, and most importantly of all, they had Sean Bradley's powers. We were doomed. Doomed! 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 And if you want to have this have any shred of credibility or believability or reliability, like who are you going to bring in that the Monstars took the powers away from NBA guys? You know, like, give me a break. And then to top that all off, now you're going to have LeBron take the last shot. Like, we know that's bullshit because, A, if it's a true clutch shot, he's only going to hit it at a 20% clip. B, he'd be much more likely to defer to somebody. So maybe Bugs Bunny will get the freaking glory. Like, no, it's stupid. I hate it. And then go to hell for it. Joseph Moran, who are the Super Bowl contenders right now? I think if you looked at the Super Bowl contenders right now, in the AFC, you're looking at the Chiefs, the Ravens, maybe the Bills and Titans on kind of like that second level. In the NFC, I think you're looking at Seattle, you're looking at Green Bay. The way they've been looking so far, you're probably looking at the Rams. Those are probably the three teams that you look at in the NFC. Joe Joan YRN, why do you think black women are considered the least attractive women, especially on dating apps? Who the fuck ever said that? Guarantee if you ask a lot of black women that go on dating apps, I guarantee the majority of the dudes that hit them up are white dudes, whether that's due to a curiosity thing or they've never done it, they want to try it, like live out a fetish, or they're actually serious and they want some of that dark berry to get the sweetest possible juice. So I have absolutely no idea, Joe, what in the fuck you are talking about. Why would they be considered the least attractive women? I mean, black don't crack, dude. Like, look at how many of these black women you see as they get in their 40s and 50s and 60s look damn near the exact same as their 20s and 30s without having to put a bunch of shit on their face. Yeah, you see all these white women, for example, that are tore up from the floor up. It's crazy. You're also asking me, somebody that's very biased, because I don't really fuck with white women. I'm not attracted to white women. They're just not my thing. So I didn't think they were considered the least attractive. That was news to me. The Shaw Father 19, are the skid marks for real? I guess time will tell, but they're certainly heading down the right trajectory right now, aren't they? Certainly heading towards being a playoff team, that's for sure. Chris Joseph, what would be the ideal landing spot for Trevor Noah between the Jets, the Giants, and the Falcons? Oh, I think that's the Falcons, and it's not close. Especially if you still have Ridley and Julio there. Oh, man. Yeah, that's your spot right there. That's where he wants to go. And isn't he a Georgia kid anyways? Like, so many things about that. Like, if you're the Falcons, you want that number one pick. I truly believe that. And if you're Trevor Lawrence, you want to go to the Atlanta Falcons. Hey, it's me, Tetris asks, what is your prediction for what the Bears will do about their quarterback situation next year? Will they sign or trade for one in free agency, draft one to sit behind Foles, or something else? It'll probably be draft one to sit behind Foles, but you can almost guarantee they'll probably screw it up, especially if it's Nagy and Pace making the call, especially if it's Pace making the call. They'll screw it up, because that's just what the Bears organization does. Chernell_Sally asks, do you think the Bears chose Trubisky over Mahomes and Jackson because he's a clean-cut white boy that would look good in the media? You know, it's like, I think you mean Mahomes or Watson. Here, let me be clear on that first. No. Look, I get where people are trying to grab at something as to try to, the old make it make sense to me type of deal with why in the hell would they take Trubisky over Mahomes and Watson? It has to be something, and that's the one tangible thing that you can point to. One's white, two are not. Understand it. I just don't think it's grounded in reality. I think it's just more about the fact that Ryan Pace sucks at his job. And in particular, sucks at drafting in the first round, and clearly didn't know what the F he was doing when it came to the quarterback position. That's what I attributed and associate it more to. Is just not being very good at his job. And that's what it is. I don't think that had anything to do with it. Because if you're the Bears front office, Do you really care? You would, I would hope, anyways. Would you really care about what pigment your quarterback is if you were actually able to find a guy that truly was that face of the franchise, an elite level guy, something you haven't had since the Sid Luckman days of the freaking T formation Bears of the 40s? So without more evidence, I just dismissed that one as, nah, that's not it. It's easy to point to that because that's the one tangible difference that you could say, like, that would have made sense, but it doesn't make sense. They're just idiots. That's what makes sense. Fulia Georgian 1. It is known Romania has the most beautiful women in the world. In your opinion, which country is second in that category? Do they? Do they? You really don't want me to roast and gun on Romanian women, do you? Like, I know you're from Romania and everything. You probably have a partiality to that. But I've seen some of your women, dog. Nah. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No. Like, even just from a Caucasoid standpoint, hell no. Hell no. Like, if you ask me what country you would drop me personally in the middle of, and I would be the happiest, is probably somewhere like Nigeria. Like, that should not surprise anybody. But, I mean, damn, like, you could drop me in Brazil, you could drop me in so many other places. Yeah, Romania does not have the most beautiful women in the world, dude. I'm sorry. You can love them and be partial to them all you want, but let's not be crazy. Put down the crack pipe. Some guy 407. What do the Celtics have to do to get over the hump? Fascinating question. I don't know if I have the answer to that. I don't know if I do. Maybe they need an Iguodala type of guy. Not necessarily Iguodala, but an Iguodala type of guy. Because you think on paper they should have enough, but they don't. They just kind of find a way to come up short. Maybe they need Tatum to really take another step and truly become an elite level player. Maybe that's what will finally get them over the hump. Kyle Garner, if you were to sit down and have dinner with anybody alive or dead, who would it be and what would you want to talk about? This is where typically people always go with somebody famous, some type of historical figure, and certainly have folks that come to mind there, but I'd probably go with my grandma. She passed away from throat cancer back in 96, so she didn't get to see me graduate high school. She hasn't been there during my adult life. That's probably the one person that I could sit there, alive or dead, and would want to have dinner with and just talk about life, talk about things, talk about the family history. There's so many questions that I want to know about that I never got answers to. That's the one. Is probably my grandma. At Keys 10, why do so many people praise Reagan's presidency? From research, his 8 years seem overrated. Oh, they are. I've never understood why he's this conservative hero, this conservative champion, when many things that he backed actually were not conservative principles at all whatsoever. But I think when you look back at the 80s, it is beyond question heavily influenced by Reagan. Like, he has kind of his own period of time, his own era, for better or worse, depending upon your perspective. But I think so many people praise Reagan because they kind of fell for the BS, similar to Clinton in a way in terms of like the Teflon elements of their presidency. He was known as a great communicator. I think part of it is too for conservatives. It's when they look back on fond times, like we tend to do sometimes, forget about some of the bad things and focus on some of the higher overarching things. And they look back at it at a time that they had unquestioned tremendous power in the country. So I think that's why. Oh, yeah, but I would agree. Like, he was overrated as hell. Thomas McCurley closes us out by asking, what would you think if the Bears traded for Darnold? And I think trading for somebody else's failed young quarterback, even if you don't want to call Darnold a failure, that's fine. But the reality is that's what it would be, is not going to get the job done. Do what great franchises do and draft your goddamn quarterback, develop your goddamn quarterback, and then win with said drafted and developed quarterback. That's what you do, period. All right, well, that is it for the second part of this weekly Q&A video. Again, lots of great questions. Thank you to everyone who submitted them via Twitter. Subscribe, damn it, if you haven't done so already. Click the bell so that way you're notified of future videos. I'll see you later.